Hi, welcome to my YouTube. My buddy and I went to an indoor range and shot several guns for a couple of hours, just for fun, especially these two MP-40s. Just to get the feel of them, not to evaluate them. There are plenty of range reports on YouTube you can watch. I'm mostly a rifle shooter, so I've forgotten how much fun it is to shoot a .22 in rapid succession with a full magazine. We found them fun, fairly accurate, and very reliable. So, did this 9mm give me the feel of I was in battle, firing a captured MP-40? Well, not having shot a real MP-40 before, I couldn't say for sure. But I have fired an open bolt SMG of similar size, so I would have to say no. But this is as close as I'm gonna get considering government's dislike of open bolts. In Canada, the original MP-40 are prohibited. So you can't shoot them even if you own them. And in the US, you can shoot them, but they are ridiculously expensive. So I'm super happy that GSG made these in 9mm. Okay, so let's get the stats out of the way. These are of identical dimensions, with the exception of the .22 with a barrel extension of 2 inches required by Canadian law, making them non-restricted. The 9mm has a barrel length of 10 inches, making them restricted. And in the US, their .22 has a barrel extension of about 4 inches long, and they made it look like a suppressor. The 9mm weighs in at 9 pounds, and the .22 comes in 1 pound shy at 8 pounds. Both are made from alloy casting, and appears both are made in the same machinery and subsequently milled to specification. This is a very economical production process. So are any of these parts interchangeable? The answer is yes, and I will show you as I disassemble and make the comparison. So let's begin. Okay, let's deal with the magazine first. This is a .22 magazine. It's made out of plastic. It's held together by 6 screws, 2 on the bottom and 4 on the side. The magazine spring, the tension can be reduced by pulling this piece down for easy loading. There's marking on the side that will tell you how many rounds remaining in the magazine. It goes up to 23. It's a single stack, single feed magazine. This also is a BHO feature. It will activate your BHO. In contrast to the 9mm, this is made out of sheet metal. It's a double stack, single feed. It also has a BHO feature, but it's attached to the follow in the front, right there. It's disassembled like most magazine. There's a little button on the bottom. You push down and slide the base plate out. Now, are these interchangeable? Will the 9mm fit into the .22? Let's give it a try. It does not. And the reason why is because the .22 BHO is in the way. So it will not fit. Now, will the .22 magazine fit in the 9mm? And it almost, but it isn't. Because you can see the magazine cache rise, but it does not fall. And the reason why is because the .22 lips is a bit higher. And if I were to pull the bolt back, it will then lock in place. Yeah, now it locks in place. But the bolt will get stuck on the magazine lips. So they are not interchangeable. In spite of the magazine catch is identical. Okay, next to the folding buttstock, underfolder. They're both identical, they're both open the same way, and they're both interchangeable. You press the button and you tilt the butt plate a little bit and then slide back. Both of them are wobble free, unlike some of the YouTube I've seen where most of these wobble quite a bit, maybe the early model, but these two are quite solid. Okay, out on to the next subject. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about are sights. The rear sights on both of these rifles are identical. It has one fixed and one folding. Obviously the folding is higher, and that's for the distance. There's no markings on them, so I actually don't know what distance they're set at. But to adjust this horizontally, they do provide an Allen wrench that goes into this hole. Okay, there are two holes with threads in them. I presume they're for optics, although I have not seen any, but I presume that's what they're for. Now moving along to the front sight to adjust for elevation. Each rifles come with a set of 4 different height sight posts. Each of them have a plastic dot on them for better visibility. And to change them, you have to remove this extension, basically just unscrewing it, and sliding the post sight protector forward, and then you drift the post out and replace it with a different one. Now with the 9mm, there is a lock just behind the muzzle protector. You push it down and turn it. Now if it's a little tight, they do provide you with a wrench that you could put on and turn it. The muzzle protector is reversible, so you don't have to worry. This muzzle protector is not interchangeable with the 22, nor the extension interchangeable with the 9mm. There is a shim, and slide out the post protector, same as the 22. Oh, by the way, they are identical dimension, so they are interchangeable. And again, you just drift out the post and put a different height one. So let's reassemble them. Okay, next, disassembly between the upper and the lower. When it comes to taking down a gun, I do not believe in using tools. This is my biggest gripe with these GSG MP-40s. It requires tools to separate the lower from the upper. Although they do provide an Allen wrench for the 22, you insert it into the set screw right here, just above the mag catch, and unscrew it. And you will feel, don't screw it all the way out because you're more likely to lose it, but you'll feel it separating, and just pull back and down the lower. Now with the 9mm, it has a cross pin, but the biggest problem with that is at the end of the cross pin, it's held in by these clips, which you require a tool to remove. And then, because the cross pin is held in pretty good, you need a punch and a mallet to drive the cross pin out. And when you pull the punch up, the lower separates from the upper. Okay, now to remove the bolt assembly for the 22, you unscrew this cocking handle. And then the whole assembly comes out. With the 9mm, the buffer comes out. It's made out of a solid steel. pretty hefty spring. And this bolt, unlike the 22, you don't unscrew, you just pull straight up. It's held with a ball and spring. And this is the bolt. Now there are some complaints about these while you're shooting falls out. There's possible. Now obviously the two bolts are completely different and they're not interchangeable. You cannot put the 22 into a 9mm or the 9mm into a 22. They're not even similar, although the tube construction is exactly the same. You can tell they're made by the same machinery. The cocking port is the same. The size of the tube is the same, except I can tell that the 22 has these two lugs. I guess it's to lock it in place, to hold it firmly to the lower, but for the 9mm they decided to remove it. It's been cut off. I guess the reason why they did that is because it has a cross pin, and so you don't really need that. But with the 22, it doesn't have a cross pin, and matter of fact, it just has a set screw, so it needs something more to sort of lock it in place. And these lugs slide into the lower, like right here and there, and slides right in and locks it in place here. Now, both lower looks very similar. Similar construction, similar dimension. The only thing I see that's different is the shape of the hammer. There's an additional angle cut on the 9mm hammer, while the 22 hammer is straight. The spring tension I've tested earlier is the same, and everything looks the same to me. So the question is, are these lowers interchangeable? They are not without modification, without small modification anyway. So if you have a 9mm and you need a lower and you can only find a 22 lower, it is possible to use a 22 lower, but you need to make the modification by changing the hammer, changing the inside here, and also drilling a hole all the way through for the cross pin. So it is possible to use a different caliber lower if you have to, but you need to make some small modification. So thank you very much for joining me, and please subscribe.